Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Jesus.
Super Mario Bros. 3 speedruns are some of the most competitive out there. It has a degree
Sometimes
of
I wonder if, like,
not found in most platforms.
Summoning Salt's been in the same room
So
as me.
much out of your control needs to line up. But it also requires relentlessly precise platforming through the entire game.
Because, like,
We've
I've never
already
seen
been
him.
over warpless world records in this game, but there's another even tougher category, 100%. And over the past 10 plus years, it's become one of the most coveted NES world records. This is the history of Mario 3 100% world records.
I'm not in this chat. I never had it. I've never seen him. Yeah, I've never seen him. No, I'm just sitting low on my... I'm just sitting low here. Right here.
So, what is a 100% speedrun?
What is
Well, for a normal warpless speedrun of Mario 3, the only requirement is that you can't use any of the game's warp whistles to jump to a later world. However, that category
I don't
still
know if
lets
I'd
you
recognize
skip
his
over
voice,
certain
like-
levels,
like,
since
just...
you aren't required to play
Like, what if
them
he's
all
been
to
at
beat the
GDQ
game.
and he's just been, like,
But for
just there, you
100%,
know, just hanging out with
the
people.
rules
and
are a bit strict.
Nobody knows.
You've got to complete every stage and every map enemy through the entire game. That includes all the numbered levels, forts, airships, and hand stages, as well as enemies like Hammer Brothers and Piranha Plants. It's a brutal category. You can't skip over anything dangerous. The origin of this category comes from a speedrun from December 2005, performed by David Gibbons. Now, David Gibbons may not be a familiar name to most, but back in the early 2000s, he was one of the most prolific speedrunners around. He held world records in Mario 64, GoldenEye, Castlevania 64, Donkey Kong Country 3, the list just goes on and on. And on Christmas Eve 2005, he added Mario 3 to that list. A 100% run clocking in at 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 10 seconds.
Wow.
Let's dive in.
Wow, that's actually
Gibbons
like
played on the
hilarious
Super Mario
to me.
All-Stars version of the game, but since all his other records were on SNES and N64 games, it's likely Gibbons played on this version since he didn't own an NES. He started in World 1 and began making his way through the game.
I feel like my first run was better than that, which is really funny.
Gibbons' first goal was to build up the P meter as often as he could. The P meter checks every 8 frames whether you're running and whether you're on the ground.
Yeah.
If both are true,
David
then
Gibbons,
an arrow
what a
builds
name.
in the meter, and if not, then it'll
He did it
lose an
glitchless.
arrow.
You're right. I mean,
Once the meter is full,
there's not really any
you get
glitches in
P
Mario
speed,
3,
allowing you to
like,
run
100%
much
are
faster
worthless.
than normal.
Like going through walls isn't a
So,
glitch.
throughout the entire game,
That's a feature of the
Gibbons
game.
frequently tried
because
to
it's
run
badly
on the
programmed.
ground and build P speed.
Not like
In World 1, he was
like
able
they
to
let
build
you
it
go
on
through
several
walls
occasions,
because so
but
that you don't get
usually
stuck in them.
slowed down and lost it slightly after. As a whole, Gibbons was going through stages quickly, but some levels looked more like a casual playthrough. 3-2 in particular had a lot of
thank you
falling
so
in the
much.
water and riding on slow-moving platforms. Since the run was so long, he played a lot of sections safe, slowing down to ensure he didn't take damage or die. But whenever he built P-speed, he was able to fly through levels. And all the while, he was collecting items, which the game automatically gives you after completing worlds and fighting Hammer Brothers. He saved most of these until World 7, which features many of the game's longest stages. So in 7-6, for instance, instead of entering the door to play the level, he used a P-wing to fly over the wall and run to the other side.
Still do that.
Level complete in a
We
matter
still do that.
of seconds.
One
All in
sliver.
all, this was a pretty impressive speedrun for its time, and it got a positive reception in the community. But there were a lot of safe strategies used, and it was obvious the world record had potential to go lower. That being said, for the next 6 years, David Gibbons' run remained as the fastest recorded 100% time.
What?
During that period,
He owned it
new
for
Mario
6 years?
3 runners joined Speed Demo's archive, but for the most part, they focused on the game's other categories. However, for Awesome Games Done Quick 2012, a runner named TJP7154 submitted Mario 3 100%.
Ooh.
It got accepted, meaning he'd be running it in front of thousands of viewers that
Mitch
January.
is the greatest Mario 3 player that's ever existed.
TJP had to practice.
There's...
He began streaming 100% runs.
The only other,
and in November 2011,
and I'm probably missing someone.
He beat David Gibbons' record.
But
this time, 100%
ZFG
was a little different.
And Mitch are like the only ones that I can really honestly think of that are.
On November 6th, 2011,
like
TJP beat the record by over 2 minutes
of their game, no question.
A 121.56.
Yeah.
And he was able to take full advantage of what had been discovered.
And I think Mitch's numbers are.
First off, he was far better at preserving P-speed. For instance, in 2-2, he turned back at the start of the stage to build P-speed, then precisely jumped to maintain it through the whole level.
That's actually a cool strat.
4-3 was more of the same, maintaining P-speed by mapping out his jumps perfectly.
God, I love 4-3.
It was overall a higher level of gameplay than Gibbons' run. There were also smaller optimizations TJP made. It seems logical to jump to get the wand sooner after a Koopa fight,
right?
Like Gibbons did. But Mario eventually has to slowly fall to the bottom of the screen after grabbing it. So, if he grabs it on the ground instead, Mario falls a much shorter distance and actually gains time. He used this throughout the run to save a few seconds.
Most true thing ever.
But here's the thing about TJP. He was practicing for a marathon, not trying to optimize a world record. He was also a showman, never afraid to go for the toughest tricks even if they were risky. So, despite some impressive time saves over David Gibbons, TJP also died 5 times and took damage on numerous occasions.
Really?
It made for an entertaining run, despite some obvious places to improve. But the biggest addition to TJP's run? He used every trick to his advantage. Welcome to the wonderful yet punishing world of Mario 3's glitches. This is stage 6-9.
This isn't
Normally,
a glitch.
you enter the pipe and play through the level, but instead, TJP did this. It's called a wall jump, an incredibly difficult glitch in Mario 3. First off, you need to jump into the top 6 pixels of a block, and then jump again the frame you hit the block. Although in rare cases...
Chat, just for the record, GrandPooBear was the first one to ever do this, first try at a GDQ, just for the record.
You may get a second frame. That means you have 6 pixels of wiggle room, and then must time a jump down to the 60th of a second. That's not easy. But then there's stuff out of your control. In order to have the chance to wall jump as Small Mario, you must be at least 2 pixels into the wall. When running, Mario moves 2 pixels and 8 sub-pixels per frame. There are 16 sub-pixels in a pixel, meaning essentially he moves 2.5 pixels per frame.
Oh, God!
On how you're lined up.
I'm remembering why I hate Mario 3 so much.
For instance, if you happen to be 1 pixel away from the wall with a low sub-pixel value,
I'm fucking talking about sub-pixels and shit all the time.
The next frame and won't have the chance to wall jump. If you instead had a high sub-pixel value, the 8 sub-pixels gained would cause Mario to move an extra pixel deep, and the wall jump would be possible. The math works out so that you only have a 60% chance to get the wall jump, even if you do everything right. Your sub-pixel value and distance from the wall must line up.
I hate Mario 3, dude.
Another trick that requires both a precise jump and sub-pixel luck is clipping. If you jump right into the corner of a block as Big Mario, The game thinks his head is stuck inside, and its solution is to zip you out to the right. This means you can skip straight through entering a door to play a stage and go right to the end. But of course, in addition to needing a frame-perfect jump to hit the corner of the block, you also need subpixel luck to clip in far enough. Even if you get a frame-perfect jump every time, Mario only zips less than half the time in practice. As difficult and random as these tricks are, TJP was committed to going for them. He went for the wall jump in 6-9 and got it 7th try. He went for the clip in 7-1 and got it 17th try. He went for a clip in 7-5 and failed 9 times before giving up. Finally, in 7-6, he hit a clip first try, vindicating his efforts. Was this all actually worth it? Well, despite a lot of misses, TJP clearly showed that if performed fast enough, the wall jump and all the various clips...
I hate all this shit.
A few weeks later, just before his GDQ run...
Video volume compared to your volume is rough when you scream with a higher volume. I'm not screaming.
It was cleaner overall with fewer deaths, and took no more than 6 tries to get the major clips in World 7.
A better way to do it would just be like, hey,
3 minutes,
could you turn this up or that down?
He couldn't help himself from going all out in the last stage of the game. He started by going into the basement and failing a clip 31 consecutive times. He then returned to the start of the level and attempted a different clip 4 times before giving up and taking the elevator. He then successfully hit a clip at the top of the level, but it actually lost him time because of how slowly he moved through the wall. He may have lost
the video is too low
stage, but his run looked cool and was still a world record. Now, TJP's run stood as the official record for about 8 months. It was beaten in August 2012, and the runner to do it is pretty well known today. Mitch Flower Power. By 2012, Mitch had already been a top Mario 3 runner for years. He got the Warpless record in 2010, and likely had a 100% run faster than TJP's runs back in 2011. But he didn't record his time until...
Chat. This is 2012. It's 2013. Or 23. 23. 2023. I time traveled back. It's been exactly 1 year. GrandPooBear, Jesus Christ. That's wild. That's wild. Yeah, the Subathon's taking its toll. I know.
A low-resolution camera.
Or locked in world record battles
Mitch
for like 5 years.
Would be an incredible 100% runner if he ever gave it a try, and he encouraged him to start running.
Yeah.
So later that year, Karua did, and in December, he beat Mitch's world record, 113.52. Karua had a different approach this run. Mitch went all out, executing as many tough strategies as he could and being less concerned about mistakes. Karua, on the other hand, went for a more consistent run. He expected to get hit and make the occasional mistake, but his initial goal was to avoid dying, something TJP and Mitch failed to do. He also wanted to have a
God, it's kind of crazy that, like...
Mitch had some slowdowns in World 5, while Karua was able to hold on to his Fire Flower. This allowed him to build P-speed.
Like, what do I want to say? Like,
Mitch had to slowly jump his way through.
This is way more
conservative strategy.
Like, I really understand why like speedrunning was like at its peak there from like, 2013 till 2018, 2019, because like we're looking at the SMB3 record at this point, just like flopping back and forth, and like, it's because guys are dying. They're literally dying. Like, we do like, we have Gaizo games now where you don't even, you can't even take a death or two. And yeah, it's just such a time of like these rapid like innovation, and feels like, only one or two guys can do it. The hell got a random sub for this channel? You're fucking blessed for that. You're fucking welcome. Yes. You should feel fucking grateful for that. You're goddamn welcome. Now sit here and listen to my rant about the golden days of speedrunning, young man. Okay? It was I tell you about back in my day. Lost my train of thought.
Strategies, Karua saved a lot of items for the later worlds, and P-winged over 6-9 and 7-6. He also used the P-wing in 7-9, allowing him to go straight to the top and skip part of the maze-like stage. He still went for the 7-1 clip, and got it 5th try. So overall, his safe strategy worked beautifully. Karua completed the run without dying.
Make sure to hydrate with your Metamucil, old man.
43-second world record improvement over Mitch. The run certainly wasn't without its faults.
I'm hydrating, baby.
Small time losses were scattered across the run, especially in World 6, and he took a lot of time trying to build P-speed at the start of 7-2. But Karua said that all he wanted with this run was a starting point. He wanted to achieve a clean world record, and then return to improve it in the future. So, 5 months later, that's exactly what Karua tried to do. On May 19th, 2013, after a break from doing 100% runs, Karua got on a pace with a beautiful first half. He bled a little bit from slowdowns in World 5, but his World 6 was much cleaner than his last record. Karua was over half a minute ahead into World 7. But he still had to get the 7-1 clip. First try. He also gained time by building P-speed faster in 7-2, and suddenly, he was over 41 seconds ahead going into the final world.
Good times.
World 8 is a very interesting.
God, when did I start?
Mario 3 speedruns.
I started speedrunning in
surface,
2015.
Nearly half the stages are auto-scrollers, which are essentially cutscenes for speedrunners.
Summer of 2015 is when I started streaming.
Tricks.
Or
you don't
sorry,
even
sorry,
have to worry about
speedrunning.
the hands like you do in Warpless.
I was streaming before that.
You're forced to play them all in 100%. So the only RNG is a 1.5 time loss from getting pulled in by a hand versus selecting it manually. So, World 8 shouldn't be that tough of a world. But the remaining levels, 8-1, 8-2, the 4th,
does Karua still play?
Castle,
no.
They may not be
not because
but they're just
no, not
hard
because
enough
I mean
that when combined
him and
with the
Mitch
pressure of
traded
being on
world
record
records
pace,
in every
it can be
category
very
for as
easy
long
to
as
make
they
a mistake.
played, but eventually
With the
Karua
pressure
just
off,
didn't want to do it
top
anymore, you
runners
know?
rarely make mistakes in World 8. Everything changes when you're
Karua also, like, I'll say
One
this,
flip
like,
of the button,
Karua
one
in
mistimed
person
jump, and your world
is
record chance can
one of the nicest people in the world, but like in like the discords and stuff, man, he could get mean. And so I don't know if it like brought out the best of him, you know what I mean?
3 consecutive levels with a mistake. The pressure may have gotten to Karua.
You can select the hands manually.
But incredibly, since he led by so much going into World 8, he still pulled off a world record by 7 seconds. This may not have been the record he was going for, but Karua was in it for the long haul. 100% had turned into his new favorite category, and he was willing to devote most of his attention to it. And so, throughout 2013, this is what Karua did to the world record.
Mitch is not an asshole. Back then though, I will say back then Mitch was like, he used to smoke cigarettes on stream and fucking speedrun Mario 3. You know how gangster that is? He doesn't smoke at all anymore. But just like, you know how gangster that is? That's like the most, because like, you know, he cooked, and I was like, that's like the most like chef move, you know, like the most like.
4 months later, Kurua had taken the world record all the way to 112.40.
Yeah.
Despite lowering the record by over
I remember
minute,
when I first started
there weren't
speedrunning,
any
I would
big
watch
game
Mitch,
strategies.
and I just
The
would be like,
improvements
how the
came
fuck
from
does he
making
do any
fewer
of this?
mistakes
And then not
slowly
just
adding
that,
in
but
smaller
like,
time saves.
um,
An example of this is 4-1. Kurua used
I
to
was
never
shocked he
build
could do it
speed
with a
this
cigarette in
long,
his fucking
and
hand.
just jumped his way through while slowing down as little as possible. But starting with his 112.40, he picked up a Koopa shell, then used it to run into a Paracoopa so he could avoid taking damage and build P-speed.
A lot of people still use that.
He could then preserve it across the remainder of the level and save a few seconds.
It's kind of crazy
This
seeing like
was
how old
Kurua's
like all these
category.
strats are too, you know.
Mitch was close to him at the start of the year, but as he chose to focus on other categories instead, Kurua was able to pull away.
Yeah.
And as a result, the
Holding his
gap
SIG
between the
speedrun
two
tech,
of
I don't
them
think it
was
could have
nearly
helped.
2 full minutes.
Yeah.
But then, something interesting happened. Mario 3 100% was accepted into AGDQ 2014, just as it had been 2
As a
years
co-op.
prior with TJP.
Is that co-op run?
Only this time, it would be a co-op run, with Mitch and Kurua both playing. So, Mitch had to get ready. He'd spent the year playing the game's warpless and any percent categories, setting a total of 5 world records between the two. But he hadn't played 100% in over a year.
You know what?
And since then,
We need to
Kurua
demand
had
the
lowered
summoning
record
salt.
7
The
times.
summoning salt all forts
So,
run. All forts.
During preparations for that year's GDQ run, the question
video.
was, could Mitch keep up with Kurua?
The all
And
forts
on
video.
November 13th, 2013, that question was answered.
That's the only way I'm ever getting
This was a
in.
record improvement of 7 seconds, but there's one important caveat. Mitch played on an NES, while Kurua played on Wii Virtual Console. These consoles have different frame rates, and essentially meant that Kurua was playing in slightly slow motion compared to Mitch. Over the course of an hour-long speedrun, it worked out that Mitch gained 20 seconds over Kurua from frame rate differences alone. So his improvement of 7 seconds was a slower played run overall. But it was still the world record.
Get wrecked.
Mitch's strategies were quite different than Kurua's. In the World 2 Fort, for instance, Mitch intentionally lost fire to damage boost off the spikes. It's faster initially, but you lose time by not being able to fire kill the Boom Boom and having to power back up later. Mitch also gained time back in a few of the stages where Kurua lost big time, but he had his struggles too. His 7-1 clip was 12th try. Yet when factoring in the time save from frame rate differences, it was still enough to beat the world record.
I did it. I did it.
After 15 months of dominance from Kurua, Mitch was back on top.
It's kind of funny
In
to
the
see
lead-up
Mitch
to their
like
AGDQ
excited.
run, Mitch wasn't the only one
Chat, do you want to know something about Mitch? There were 3 years in a row where Mitch lost a world record on his birthday.
practicing. Kurua started doing 100%
3 years in a row, someone beat a world record on his fucking birthday.
runs as well. And this time, there was no more Wii Virtual Console.
Yo,
Kurua
Silverlink,
switched
thanks
to
for the
playing on
raid.
NES. And so, just a few weeks after Mitch's record, Kurua beat him back by 24 seconds.
Suck it,
Keeping with the
NES.
theme from these two runners, Kurua's record was more consistent than Mitch's run. Mitch had lost fire in the forts in Worlds 4 and 5, while Kurua didn't get hit in either spot. And
It's kind of
instead
like
a 12th
funny
try
even
7-1
thinking about like
clip,
Mitch making those mistakes
Kurua got
now.
it first try. He did die in 6-3, but it wasn't a significant time loss since he was already Small Mario, and it was at the start of the level. It was a quintessential Kurua world record. He went for fewer extravagant tricks compared to Mitch, but was steady nearly the whole way through. And it paid off beautifully. Mitch and Kurua continued practicing in the lead up to AGDQ 2014, but neither lowered their 100% time. But then, the day before the marathon was scheduled to start, Karua came through with one more world record, the first 111 in the game's history. It was a bit more of an up and down run.
Just for the record,
losing fire in World 3 and missing a tail swipe
112, 111.
causing him to lose time going for the backup.
Yeah, those are really good times now.
notable for
Yeah, we're
one
in those like
particular
really good
trick
times
Karua
now.
went for. It's not a huge time save, but is extremely difficult and punishing if missed. The trick is in World 3, saves 3 seconds, and fittingly, is named Door 3.
Wait, the motherfucker went for door 3?
In World 3's
Who goes for door 3?
There's a hallway of doors that lead to different areas.
Nobody goes for door 3. It's a
supposed to go
meme.
into the sixth
You don't actually go for
then
door
jump
3?
up to a higher door and enter the boss corridor.
What a G.
However, if you instead enter the third door,
Really?
press up to re-enter the door as soon as Mario spawns on the next screen,
What a
you
gangster.
can enter it again and are sent straight to the boss corridor.
What a gangster.
This saves 3 seconds over going to
Mitch
door
does
6,
now? Yeah, Mitch
but it's
has no
incredibly
choice. He's
risky.
like,
You only have 1 frame to press
this
up
is
as you spawn.
this
on
is
the screen.
2014,
If
bro.
you miss, you fall into the water and lose 11 seconds.
When
It's
do you get a summoning salt
extremely
video of
high
me?
risk for not a huge
I don't think he's ever gonna do a
But
summoning
Karua
salt
went
video
for it
over
since his run was off to a slow start. And it
like the
paid
runs
off.
I do. Yeah.
A few days later, Mitch and Karua had their GDQ run, and then both players took a break from 100%.
I'm not.
The world record had entered the 111s, and although there's a
Um,
lit to just how
don't know.
optimized an hour-long run can be, it was
There's
starting
not
to
much
get
history behind any of my games.
There weren't many huge time saves left.
I beat
The
him,
smaller things were becoming more and more important.
and then
But when Karua
other people
came
beat
back
him.
to 100% runs in March, one element
Other
of
people
the
beat
run
those.
in particular was gaining relevance.
like I had the Dream World
So far,
record for
we've
like
talked about all the
5 years,
execution and
like-
tough tricks required in a 100%.
what are you gonna
run.
do?
Building P speed, getting clips, and all the rest. But we've been ignoring a
Look over my
big
fake
aspect
cheating
of the
scandal?
speedrun.
Maybe.
Mario 3 100% has one other major component: RNG. It's time to talk about the Hammer Brothers.
I hate Hammer Brothers.
The first 6 worlds in the game feature one or more Hammer Brothers on the overworld map.
At least I'm in the Lunky
After
credits.
every level you complete,
As long as I'm in Lunky 3 credits. Alright, we'll finish that later. As long as I'm in the Lunky 3 credits too. That's what I'm really concerned about. Lunky 3 confirmed. Yep, I just confirmed it. Now he has to make it. You were watching that? You want me to go? Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I'm sorry. I was going to. I'm sorry.
or every time you die, these Hammer Brothers randomly move in an available direction. They only intend to move one space at a time, but they can only stop on an unoccupied tile. So if they land on a level or another Hammer Brother,
sorry.
they have to move again.
Sorry. You
All
keep
the
wanting to
Hammer
hear
Brothers
stories
move at the
about
same
Mario
time,
3?
But you have to wait for whatever the longest movement is to stop before Mario can move. So if one Hammer Brother moves once while the other moves twice, you end up taking the time loss from a movement of 2. Now, you can get some pretty long movements from the Hammer Brothers. In World 5, this Hammer Brother can't stop on the fort, and then can't stop on level 8 or level 9. So, he has to move 4
I've
spaces
lost
before he can
legitimately
finally
24
stop.
seconds to Hammer Brothers
Each
before.
additional movement costs 32 frames, or roughly half a second.
When am I going to take
So
the
a
record off,
movement of
Mitch?
4 loses a second and a half over the optimal movement of 1.
Even if I
But under
started
perfect
dedicating all my
conditions,
time to Mario
you can
3,
get
I don't think I
even
could beat
worse
Mitch.
movements. If the Hammer
Honestly.
Brothers never
And
land
it's
on
not
an
because
open
I don't think
tile,
I'm a great
they
gamer,
have
or
to
not
keep
because I'm
moving.
not capable of competing with him.
They can even get stuck
It's
on
just-
top of each other if
he
they do a
has-
3-way intersection. Speedrunner Stewie Cartman has one of the
7
longest
more
Hammer
years
Brother
of
movements
experience.
on record. And movements like this can theoretically
Yeah,
take
seven
place
seven
in
more
any
years of
playthrough
experience
Mario
than I
3.
have. Oh, wow. This one's great. Oh, my God. Look at that Hammer Brother movement. Look at that. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. How is that even possible?
It probably goes without saying that if this happens in a run, it's an immediate reset.
What is this? Oh my God, I've never seen that.
Even without a super long marathon movement,
Wow. That was the longest
time over the course of 100%.
I thought mine was bad.
An extra movement is only half a second, but there are dozens and dozens of spots for movements during a run. In World 5 alone, getting the worst possible versus the best possible Hammer Brother luck is about 21 seconds of difference. Extrapolate that to the full game, and one speedrun to the next can have significant time variance from RNG alone.
I hate Mario 3.
When Karua
just
came back to
reminded
attempts
me.
in March 2014,
It's all just reminded me why I hate
Hammer
Mario
Brother
3.
RNG mattered more than ever before. On March 27th, he got on a run that pulled ahead big time after World 3.
Right?
This was partly thanks to quick Hammer Brother.
Dude, I haven't played Mario 3 since
like
GDQ
World 4
20.
featured great Hammer Brother luck. 2 movements of 2 and 5
2020.
movements of 1. And he didn't have to travel
Right before
far to
COVID.
fight them either.
I think that was the last time.
Unfortunately, World 5 wasn't as kind, as he got several movements of 3. Still, going
They cut
into
you
World
off?
7, Karua had built up a substantial lead, and it just kept getting better. 7-1 clip was first try once again, and he got the tail swipe in 7-5 that he missed in the last record.
That's such a hot
Karua
move.
had a 17-second lead into World 8, but we already know how hard this world can be under pressure.
Oh, bro. Oh my God, he pulled a me. Oh, he pulled a double me.
These mistakes lost 12 seconds combined. Still a record by 5 seconds, but World 8 was starting to become
Pulled a double me
spot for Karua. But just a week later, he had a chance for redemption. Karua carried an 8-second lead after World 6, but this run is notable for the new strategies Karua went for in World 7. In 7-9, he successfully hit a clip that saves 5 seconds. Instead of having to navigate the maze normally, you can go right through the wall to skip a segment of it. And in the second fort,
what's the Power
Karua
Glove
went
world
for a
record?
beautiful strategy.
It's like
where
4.5
you
hours for
observe
any
speed
percent.
throughout the 2 rooms. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah, it's really
you must
slow.
Throw fireballs and time your jumps perfectly in room
Just
1.
that's just one
then do
sliver.
incredibly precise jumps while ducking in room 2 so that you never slow down. These
Cobalt,
two strategies combined
don't
make
worry,
Karua was
Cobalt. It's
15
probably a
ahead
good
of World
idea.
8. This was his chance. But once again, World 8 stood between him and the world record. He needed a
Yeah, that's the problem.
and that's exactly what he got. It made for a remarkable 1:11.26, a world record cut of 27 seconds. The
Dude,
run
I'm
was
so bad at
solid
this
through
game.
World 5, but a gold World 6, combined with the new strategies in World 7
Please
and
no,
clean World 8,
please
pushed
no
it over the
200
top.
hours.
Simply put, this was an amazing world record. So amazing that for the next year, it would stand on top of the leaderboard unchallenged. But even with no competitors in
MFP
sight,
did
Karua
the
still
full
wanted to push
game.
his time
I
lower.
just did any percent.
In early 2015,
And mine was
he came
like
back
not
to the
segmented.
category,
Yeah, just like I just
largely thanks
beat
to a
it.
few new
Yeah.
strategies he could use to shave off some time. The biggest one was an overhaul of level 6-5. This is the infamous stage where
I
you're
love
supposed
this
to
game.
build P
I love
speed,
this.
then fly up with a Koopa
This is the
shell to clear
swaggiest
out the
move.
plants and make it to the pipe. Building P speed is easy, but it took speedrunners time to pick up the Koopa shell. However, Karua began using the 6-5 despawn strat. Mario 3 only has 5 available sprite slots at a time. If a 6th sprite appears on screen, it'll simply be despawned right away. So, by running and not slowing down, then tail swiping a Buster Beetle, he'll stay
I
on
never
screen
knew.
longer and take up a sprite slot.
I never
The
knew.
next Beetle is in slot 2, the Koopa is in slot 3, and the last beetle is in slot 4.
I never knew that.
With one open slot remaining, only one of the 2 plants above can spawn in.
I never knew there was
So,
only 5.
You can just fly
I had
up
no
there
idea.
and break the blocks without needing to use the Koopa shell. Using this,
I had
new
no idea that it
strategy
was
and
only
other
5. Like
smaller
that's what made it
ones,
work. Like I knew
Karua
that
set
trick, but I didn't know it
100%
was like
records
only
in
5
March
sprites on the
2015.
screen at once. Like I had no idea that's why it
111.24,
worked.
Followed by a 111.02.
I speedrun this game for
The gap
4
on
years.
the leaderboard was now enormous. 54 seconds between him and second place. He had set 12 of the category's last 13
That's
world
funny.
records. He had held the record nearly non-stop since 2012. And now, his lead over anybody else in the
I
world
feel like this is where
nearly a
this is the
full
Mitch
minute.
part. Yeah, this is where Mitch comes
And it
in.
was a good thing.
Oh,
Because
was
shortly
Cujo get
after
it?
his 111.02, Karua obtained a working holiday visa, meaning he was going to be moving to Japan for the next year. And he wasn't going to be doing any speedrunning while gone. He had plans to come back to 100% runs upon his return, but for the next 12 months, he couldn't defend his title. But fortunately for Karua, his world record seemed to be in no danger. He left for Japan, still with no threats to the record in sight.
And then and then
Just 3 months into his absence, Karua's record was gone.
and then
The guy who did it was named I Love Mario. When Karua left, he was 54 seconds behind and didn't
get
seem
wrecked.
like
You're not
he
here
was
to
a threat.
defend it.
But a month later, the leaderboard looked a bit closer. And then it got a bit closer. And finally, on June 24th, 2015, he came through with this run. The first one.
All right, I'm speedrunning at this point because I remember
I
that.
Love Mario would go on to set many records.
This is where
Mario
I
2,
started running,
Mario
right here,
3,
like
and
right
Mario
around
Land
this
2
time.
in the years to come. But this
Yeah.
one was actually his very first Mario world record. While Karua's run didn't have any huge mistakes, it still had flaws that I Love Mario was able to take advantage of. His big time saves revolved around building namely in 4-1, World 4's second fort, and 5-5.
Dude, 4-second
In each
fort's
of these
so hard.
stages, he managed to build P-Speed early through precise platforming to save a couple seconds. They added up to be a pretty nice time save. 7-1 clip was second try, and the world as a whole was quite clean. Credit to I Love Mario. He had swooped in and taken a world record that looked to be pretty
How
safe.
there's been a
Karua was
Discord
shocked.
ever since I've been
He knew
speedrunning.
his
There's
record wasn't
like a
perfect,
Discord
but to be
that
beaten after just
people are
3
just in
months
there,
away was
and
definitely a surprise.
mostly you just watch other
But
runners.
he was
Like you just
set
watch
on
other
not doing
runners
attempts
until you
until he
need
came
questions.
back.
You know, like until you're like,
Over
I
the
don't
next
get
few
how you
months,
do that,
the
and then you
leaderboard
just
would
ask a
become
question
a
and
bit
someone
cluttered
usually
at the
answers
top.
it real quick,
But
and
I
then
Love Mario's
you're like,
run remained
oh,
the
that's so
only
simple.
110.
I was fucking dumb.
The new year arrived with no changes. And finally, in the spring of 2016, Karua came back.
Hey, Flo.
His record had only
You
lasted
wanna
3
drive
months,
again this week?
But I Love Mario's world record
You wanna
lasted
drive again
the
on Thursday?
remaining 9. It was still
We can
the
go
time
from
to beat.
Italy all the way up to Oslo,
So,
Fanny.
how would Karua respond? Well, in the past, Karua tended to mix in other games with his 100% attempts.
No longer.
But this time around, he decided he was going to do an all-out grind. His goal wasn't just to get the record back. His goal was to lower the time as much as he physically could. Because the time he was aiming for was a sub 110.30. This was Karua's ultimate grind.
The ultimate grind.
To get there,
Yeah.
Karua was gonna have to squeeze
Yo,
all
what's
the
going
time
on?
out of 100% that he could.
How you
He had a
doing today,
couple ways
man?
to help. Part 1. Getting
We have
all the
a
Koopa 5
famous
items.
wrestler in the chat.
At the end
No.
of each of the first 7 worlds, there's a Koopaling battle.
Anton, what's up?
The fastest way to defeat them is to use fireballs, but this can be quite difficult, since the Koopalings have seemingly random patterns that can throw everything off. However, their pattern can actually be determined
I do like the
ahead of
hands
time.
rubbing emote.
It all depends on the time spent on the overworld map.
Sliver is
between
not
the last
primed for
level and
hitting.
the airship. Every few
It's gonna be
frames,
days
the
until the
Koopaling's
sliver
pattern
hits.
Changes. So if you spend the same amount of time navigating to the airship, the pattern will be the same and you can plan your fire kill ahead. This can still be problematic. In World 2, for instance, there are multiple spots you can be before the airship. So, Karua had to plan this out for each of the 7 worlds. What possible patterns he could get, and how they match with his overworld movement.
Chat, this is something I don't do.
But it allowed him to be much more consistent with the fire kills.
Yeah, I don't,
And
like,
2,
I know the fire kills
as always, there were new strategies
on a couple patterns, but, like, I don't know which
Karua
pattern I'm going to
implemented
get.
2 big ones. The first was in 6-10, a strategy that allowed you to maintain P-speed through the whole level and hang on to Fire Mario. It goes without saying that this requires brutally tough platforming, but the end result saves a few seconds throughout World 6. The other new strategy was in 7-7. We've seen a lot of tricks in World 7, but this is easily the worst of them all. The most brutal, random, difficult, and all-around awful strategy in the game. This is the 7-7 clip.
It is a horrible clip. It is a horrible clip. It's so
To
bad.
get this to work, you need to land on the corner pixel of the pipe. That means there's both a vertical and horizontal component of getting the clip. You need the correct vertical pixel, plus the correct horizontal pixel, and the correct subpixels for both the horizontal and vertical directions. If everything is done correctly, and you get lucky with the subpixels to get the clip first try,
This game's so
it
bad.
saves 17 seconds over playing the stage.
It's so bad.
Getting it first try is both figuratively and literally a pipe dream.
Chat, you remember how earlier I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to... I'm definitely... I think I want to do some runs. I've been feeling like some runs again. No, I don't.
For this
I don't.
grind, the 17-second
I
time
don't.
save was too good to pass up. But every miss shaves a few seconds off of the time save.
I don't.
And by the 6th try,
I don't miss it at all.
It's impossible to gain time.
Do they hurt, Mitch?
Karua only got it about 25% of the time by the 6th try, meaning 75% of runs were essentially killed by this one trick. An hour into the run. It's absolutely brutal.
Dude,
World
I
7
fucking
as a
hate this
whole
game.
had turned into a nightmare. You've got the 7-1 clip, the 7-7 clip, the 7-9 clip, and several other difficult
Happy birthday,
levels.
Pooh. I'm sure
But
you
it's
get
what
this a lot,
Karua
but
had
you're
to
my
do if he
favorite
wanted
streamer
this
per
grind to
month
be a
of Mo
success.
MM calendar.
It all had to come together.
Ooh,
for Karua
that
to
I'm proud
pull this
of.
off. After many weeks of practice, in the summer of 2016, Karua got to work.
It was the summer of
On July
2016.
6th, Karua was on a solid run through World 3. He got great Hammer Brother movements and even got Door 3. The next few worlds were up and down, but he was within striking distance going into World 7.
You don't know how Mitch
a
stays
position he
calm
had been
when
in
you
several
lose the run
times over
there?
the past few weeks.
The first time we
Karua
heard
got off
Mitch's
to a
name
good
in this
start.
was 2011,
Second try,
2012.
7-1 clip. The next few levels were clean as well, including the shell throw in 7.
He's been playing this game long enough.
Then
He's seen it
He
all.
arrived at 7
You can't get mad at it once you've seen it all. You know what's gonna happen. You know.
This just got real. Although he lost some time later in the world,
You.
first try 7-7
Oh,
was
you
enough
garbage.
for a gold split. But there was still World 8. We've seen Karua struggle here before. And sure enough, in 8-1, he lost P-speed.
Oh my God, Karua.
But he still closed it out for a 1:10.52. For the first time in over a year, Karua was the 100% record holder. He was officially back. That was the game.
Trick's
plan
losing
to get
500
his
runs. Yeah, I mean,
Take
you just.
a lottery ticket into World 7, pray the ticket hits to get all the clips required, then hold it together in World 8. Karua had 23 seconds to go. This is what he did over the following weeks.
Yo, our farmer, thank you for 25 gift subs. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Here goes another. Almost. Almost.
By the end of July 2016, Kurua had a remarkable improvement, just 5 seconds away from his goal. And finally, he had a run with a clean World 8. He saved 6 seconds in that world alone.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, like, the excitement is when the graphs are doing this, not when the graphs are doing this, right?
Seconds off.
You know what I mean?
He had lost fire in 4-1 and took a few tries to do the clips in World 7. But overall, it was a really clean run. There just wasn't much time left to save. With 3 world records in July, Kurua was flying high. These 2 weeks had been among the most fruitful in his entire speedrunning career. So, he decided to take a short but well-deserved break. He returned in August and started doing more runs, needing just 1 more record to achieve his goal. But all of a sudden, it's like Kurua ran into a wall. He wasn't seeing any more improvements. He was getting bad Hammer Brother movements, no clips in World 7, all of a sudden nothing was working. And time started to pass. September came around.
It happens.
October.
It happens.
The record stayed at 1:10:34. Sometimes in speedrunning, we set goals that are too lofty. It's much easier to imagine a perfect run than to actually play it. And it seems that's what Kurua had done. He had been a 100% record holder for 4 years, and knew what the culmination of all his skills could be. That would be a sub 1:10:30. But 3 months after his 1:10:34, despite a massive effort,
it's just like 4
Kurua
seconds.
hadn't made any progress. 5 seconds away had to be good enough. This was the end of the road for Kurua. And then came November 9th, 2016, when maybe the craziest run in Mario 3 history took place. Do you remember anything about the attempt session leading up to it, or was it just like any normal day?
Honestly, I don't remember anything in particular about it. Yeah, the start.
Wait, didn't he die?
Pretty standard, I would
Didn't
say.
he die in
The
8-1
run
in
was
this
actually
run?
bad.
I think he died in
It was
8-1 in
slightly
this
behind,
run.
But World 1 and World 2, as long as you're within
Sorry.
2 or 3 seconds, it's not really gonna make a huge difference.
Yeah, this run was wild.
in
This
the
run
end,
was so wild.
Getting out of World 3.
Yeah,
the
this
pace
run was
perfect.
really wild. I'm so
Nothing
sorry.
special, but nothing bad. The run really started picking up at World 4. Basically, I got pissed.
Sorry,
off
chat. You gotta remember. You gotta remember. At this time, I'm an active runner of this game.
So everything went right.
4 worlds into the run, Kurua was 6 seconds ahead, putting him on pace for sub 1:10:30. But there was still a long way to go.
When I reached World 5, at that point I wasn't too excited about the run. In the entire run, World 5 is the one with the most RNG. The difference between good and bad RNG for the hammer bro movement is just insane. So I got a really low number of movements and I just nailed every single stage. Like, the world was virtually perfect. World 6 is, in my opinion, the second hardest world after World 7. It's more about the execution for World 6, and
I would say
it's
5.
really intense. So many
But I also
stages are
suck at World
difficult.
6, so I should
And
shut the
again,
fuck up.
like World 5, execution was on top in every single stage. I don't think I missed a single thing I went for in World 6. I think it was my best pace by 5 seconds entering World 7. So yeah, I was definitely feeling the pressure.
This was the best chance Kurua had
Yeah,
ever
dude, if
had
I came
at
back,
sub 1:10:30.
like,
But he started
I have so much room.
with
Like,
the
I could hit
first try,
PBs.
7-1.
Getting 7-1 first try, you're always happy, but at the same time,
Me and Thab are a day apart, aren't we?
Decided. So I was happy, but I was just waiting for 7-7 really.
Oh, well, technically our birthday is the same birthday. Isn't he on Australia right now?
7-7. On the pace of
So
his
technically
life,
we are celebrating
he
the
just
same
had
day.
to get this eventually, and he'd have a golden opportunity. Than ever before, he had to get a good World 8.
Karua died in World 8 in our GDQ run.
And yeah, we saw the results. I didn't know if I could even finish the run because I was so upset about
Like,
6.5
new
years
PB,
ago.
not record, but at least I didn't die in
Karua hasn't
8-1,
done a
like in the
100%
Discord.
since.
And
he
that
stopped
was like a
speedrunning
meme.
as a whole in 2017.
Yeah. I can say that through this time, I would say that, like, Warpless is definitely a more popular category than 100%. And more people are running it, specifically Mitch. Mitch, Cujo would be the two, like during those periods. But like to have a game like with Mario 3, to have that record stand like that with those strats out there in the world and have a death in it for that long is kind of fucking wild. That's really fucking crazy.
And these runners with 110s, Louis, Elonesia, Horstad, they were all excellent Mario 3 players, but none of their runs had world record potential. Even 2 full years later, none of these guys could catch up to Karua. It seemed like the 110-19 was destined to stay on top. There seemed to be no hope. Wait a minute.
Talking about a Jedi?
Mitch had been 100% record before, back in 2014. Since then, he had focused hard on Warpless, being ahead of Karua there for most of the last 4 years. If any runner in the top 10 had a shot of beating the 110-19, it would be Mitch. He had limited interest in 100% over the years.
Because it
But
sucks.
in late 2018, he decided to give it another shot. His PB was a mid-111, and he very quickly rose up the leaderboard. By the end of November, he was in second place. 12 seconds behind Karua. He'd then achieve a 110.29 and later a 110.26. These runs were notable because they both had a chance at the world record entering World 7. But he couldn't get the first try clips that were in the 110.19. Even with the 20-second time loss in World 8, Karua's world record was so tough to go against. There was just no margin for error in the first 7 worlds. 2019 came around, and Mitch was still 7 seconds behind Karua's world record. On January 4th,
I don't know, I want to
Mitch
say
got
like
on a run roughly even
7th
with
or 8th
Karua's
on
record
100.
entering
I
World 3.
don't know.
He'd then proceed to lose time in each of the following 5
I don't remember
worlds.
now.
He lost fire in 4.
When I started running, my very first 100% time I put in was 15th on the leaderboard because there was only 17 names on the leaderboard for 100% Mario 3. So just put that in perspective, I guess.
4
Yeah.
and lost P-Speed in 610. He missed 7-9 clip and took 2 tries to get 7-7. But entering World 8, Mitch was actually going to have a shot at this because he kept it close. Losing time against Karua.
I was also top 10 in SMO at one point.
Mitch was 16 seconds behind and could make that time up in World 8. But of course,
back in the
he
day,
had to avoid a critical mistake.
We did it. Nice. Nice.
Nice.
For the first time in 5 years,
Nice.
the 100% record belonged to Mitch. He didn't use many new strategies either. He simply let his skills from the past few years take him past Karua. Overall, it was an extremely balanced run, with solid Hammer Brother RNG and no bad worlds. And most importantly, after a 2-year reign at the top, the 110-19 was no longer the time to beat.
Nice. Finally.
Mitch and Karua were synonymous with
I
Mario
remember
3 speedrunning.
Oglib
For
put
years,
finally our
when you
world
looked
record
at the
doesn't have a death in it.
100% leaderboards, their names were always in the top 2 spots, and now was no exception. But who's in third place? That would be Louis, with a 1:10.35. He had been sneaking up in the background ever since cutting the 1:11. While Mitch was setting the record with a 1:10.14, Louis remained only 20 seconds behind, easily the top active runner behind Mitch. And when Mitch stepped aside from 100% after setting the record, it was Louis' time to shine.
Get wrecked, Mitch. Poor Louis. I feel like he gets kind of lost in the conversation.
In July 2019, after a steady series of PB improvements, Louis broke through with a 1:10.08, taking the top spot by 6 full seconds. This was the first time in 4 years that neither Mitch nor Karua set the 100% record. And there's one key trick that Louis was able to use to his advantage. 7-1 subpixel manipulation. To get the 7-1 clip, your subpixel value needs to be correct. This value...
Okay, chat, now we're really getting into the part of Mario 3 that makes it an unbearable speedrun for me. Like I'm not gonna lie. I love, and this is just all reminding me why I'd never want to run that game again. I love it. It's so good. It's playing it feels so amazing. Like there's no other NES game like it. It's so fast. It's so fluid. You have to press a lot of buttons while only pressing 2, the whole time. It's just so great. But man, it's bullshit, dude.
You can range anywhere from 0 to 15.
It's some fucking bullshit.
And normally it's impossible to pick your value.
It's so easy for you, Mitch, because you've been, the first time you had the world record was 2012
left or right
in 100%.
One frame will usually decrease or increase it by 1 value, while tapping it for 2 frames will usually move it by 4 values.
I ain't about that life anymore, dude.
Having a subpixel value between 0 and 6 means the duck clip will work in 7-1.
I don't even have, I don't even have good
when
menuing.
Around from subpixel 15 to 0, Mario visually moves forward. After the World 6 Koopa fight, you have a brief window where you can set up your subpixels for the next level, which is 7-1. So, by quickly tapping right and stopping when you see Mario visually move, you'll usually stop between a value of 0 and 6. This makes the 7-1 clip much easier to hit on the first try as long as you do the inputs correctly, which is exactly what Louis was able to do in his run. So, 1:10.08 was the record. It had been 3 years since Karua's 1:10.19, and despite the run advancing quite a bit since then, nobody could match that run's potential. The 109 sat just out of reach. Louis would hold on to the record for the next few months, but by late 2019, the desire to get under 110 picked up. Enough was enough, and the race for the first 109 was officially on.
I wonder who would win this race.
Mitch was the favorite to get it, given his resume of past Mario 3 records. But runners like Louis and I Love Mario were close, and several other runners had times in the 110s
race to
as
the
well.
69.
If any of these
my dude Hacksaw
running the game, they had a chance at this too. There was some clear time to save over Louis' record. There were a few stages where he missed P-Speed, he got some rough Hammer Brother luck in World 5, and missed the Koopa Fire kill in World 6. So the question was, who would clean all that up first? Well, in November 2019, Mitch got on a super fast run. The first 3 worlds were all beautiful, and he saved time in World 4 by not missing P-Speed in the second fort. He got better Hammer Brother luck in World 5 to save a few seconds, and got the World 6 Koopa Fire kill.
World 4 P-Speed sucks.
Stars had aligned. Mitch was 13 seconds ahead going into World 7, but it was time for the clips.
Let's go.
I went back to my roots, man. Thank God. Okie dokie.
He matched Louis' first try clips. Here we are again. 109 pace into World 8. Mitch needed one more clean world, and this would be it.
What? Who does that? Get it together! No
No.
way, dude. When do I mess up that level? I think I've lost like too much time at this point.
I fucking hate this
It
game.
was still a world record, but once again, the 109 had been lost to World 8. 4 seconds away from the goal.
Dude, I hate this
Since
game
he'd
so
gotten
much,
the
yo.
record back, Mitch stopped running 100% after this, leaving the door open to others to get the 109. But 6 months later, barely anything had changed. Mitch was on top, Louis was in second, and pretty much the entire top 10 was the same. One exception. New to the top 10 was Maiba, who was in 6th place with a 1:10.32. Half a minute from the record, not being in the top 5. Surely Maiba wasn't going to be the guy to get this. Right? On May 11th, Maiba got on a run that had a slight mishap with
I kind of
the
like
Hammer
this
Brother
because this is my
He
thing,
also
like,
got slow Hammer Brother movements
like when
in
you
World
talk
4
about-
and missed P speed in the second
what
fort.
is that a
After
wireless?
fantastic World 5 and a solid World 6.
Wait.
He was just a few seconds behind the record, but he was well ahead of his personal
Is he
best.
playing with a Japanese a Japanese
World
American
7.
controller? Did he mod a Japanese controller to be an American controller? That's so gangster.
Nice.
Maiba was on the run of his life. Everything
Yeah.
was working. Was he actually about to do this? Go straight from 6th to 1st place?
Does he like the Famicom
Once
controllers
again,
more than the US
just one
controllers?
world
Because I hate
separated
those
him from
Famicom
the
controllers. They're
first
so much
109.
smaller. Y'all don't understand. Like, it's kind of funny because Mario 3,
It's over.
World 8, not that hard. Right? World 8 when you're on
How
a
did
run?
this keep happening?
World 8 when you're on a
He
fucking
lost
run?
18 seconds in World 8. And again,
When
the
you're on a
first
run in World
109
8?
slipped away. It was enough for Maiba to move
literally
up to
the
third
hardest.
place, but knowing what this run could have been was pretty crushing. By late 2020, nearly 4 years had passed since Karua's run. Still no 109. There had certainly been enough chances, but nobody could quite convert. Well, in September 2020, another runner began climbing up the leaderboard. His name was Chikubi. He took his PB under 110.20 and then into 3rd place. Maybe he could be the one to do this. In the past, Chikubi was pretty much constantly in the top 10, but had never threatened the world record. Yet in late 2020, he began
Well,
a
it's
steady
just-
march of PB improvements.
I think that's the thing though, is like
culminating with this
you're
run
pretty
on
much every
October 16th.
speedrunner's like capable
Chikubi
of
got fantastic hammer
not like every
blocking in
speedrunner,
the
but like when you're
worlds.
within like
Great
that like
patterns, quick
30
movements.
seconds
It was pretty much the
of most
best case
games, you know what I
scenario.
mean? Like
And it
you're
all added
probably
up to an
capable.
incredible 11-second lead over the world record after World 5. The best pace anyone had ever
You know what
been
blows
on.
my mind is
He
about
started
these
bleeding
summoning salt
time in World
videos.
6 with a missed
is
star
like-
grab, late P speed in 6.4.
Like he's
and a
going
movement
through
4.
runs that
And
didn't even
7.7
become
clip
world
was
record.
4th try,
You know what I mean?
Which is good.
Like he's
but
going through
not
runs
great.
that
But despite all that,
could have been.
he was still ahead of the record into World 8. Once again, with a really good world, he could get the 109. And guess what? Chikubi played an excellent World 8. His only mistake was a very small one in Bowser's Castle. But he didn't get the 109 because he got pulled in by all 3 hands. Each hand has a 50-50 chance of pulling you in, which
Chat,
uses a second and a
this
half
game
over
fucking
manually
sucks.
Selecting the level. The odds of being pulled in by all 3 hands.
Chat, can I talk about something right here? You guys are seeing all the RNG in 100%, right? All these things that can just cause you to lose a lot of time in 100%. Right? It's not even the fun category. The fun category is warpless, where you can get fucked over and over again by RNG, where the RNG is even worse.
Hands is just 1 in 8. If he was pulled in by 1 hand or fewer, this would have been the 109. Instead, he had to settle for a 110.02. A world record, yes, but this was getting ridiculous. The 109 still eluded everyone. Maybe they needed some more help. So many times they had been just a few seconds away. With a faster strategy or two, it could push them over the top. Well, in October 2020, Mitch came back to the 100% grind. And sure enough, he had a few new strategies to help. And thankfully, they were all in World 7.
During the
toughest
pandemic,
world in the
Mitch
game.
came back.
For 7-1, he had a new subpixel
right back.
manipulation
Chat, I'm
set
gonna
up
pee.
for a standing jump, which was just a little bit easier than the duck jump. In 7-2, he had a new strategy he had adopted from the TAS. Instead of turning back at the start, you can just go forward and intentionally take damage, then just barely build P speed before reaching the gap. It's quite difficult, but saves a little over 2 seconds. But the big one was in 7-5. If you equip a P-wing and a star, then do a frame-perfect jump into the corner of the pipe, you're practically guaranteed to have the correct subpixels to clip through the wall. Now, a frame-perfect jump isn't easy, but this saves more than 6 seconds if done correctly, which is huge. Add that to Fast 7-2's time save, and suddenly Mitch had a lot more wiggle room to get the 109. So, he got back to attempts, and on October 28th he had a great run going. 2 seconds behind the record after World 6, Mitch knew he had time to save coming up with the new strategies.
Let's be honest.
And he did.
Mitch is the best.
First try 7-1, fast 7-2, the clip in 7-5, and second try 7-7. Just like that, Mitch was 5 seconds ahead, putting him on pace for a 109.57. Here we go again. World 8 stood between Mitch and the world's first 109.
That's it. That probably cost me the sub 110. That's it. It didn't give it to me. Unbelievable. It's over. Ah, come on, man!
GG.
Ah, come on, dude.
How did this keep happening? It was another record, but yet another failed 109. Karua's run 4 years ago set the trend, and ever since then, World 8 was like a shield to the 109. Mitch took damage, he missed P-speed, he failed a clip. It just seemed impossible to get a good World 8 on a good pace. Mitch, Jacoby, Maiba, Karua, some of the best players in the world had tried and failed. The 109 just wasn't happening. Did somebody else need to step up to get it done? Well, a few more months passed and 2021 came around. Early that year, Mitch decided to give the 100% grind one more try. He was 2 seconds away and had far more time than that to save in World 8 alone. He could do this. And on February 7th, 2021, Mitch had this run. It bled time early. He got worse luck in World 2 and made a mistake in World 4's first fort. He also had a time loss in 5-2 and had to travel far to fight the Hammer Brothers. As such, he was far behind entering World 6, but he cleaned up some small mistakes there and had an excellent World 7. This looks familiar. Mitch was a bit behind, but had several seconds to save coming up. Just once, World 8 had to be clean. This had to be the time to do it.
Surprised, right? I'm not surprised. The one level with the bad RNG.
It happened again. Another time loss in World 8. Was the 109 just cursed to never exist? All Mitch could do now was finish out the run and see what time he got.
We did it! We did it! Oh, man! We did it! The minute barrier! We did it! Yes!
In 2016, Karua paved the path. In 2020, Maiba and Shikubi provided hope. And in 2021, Mitch made it a reality. It wasn't a perfect run, but aside from taking damage, which cost a couple seconds, Mitch finally had a great World 8. The whole community could take a breather. The 109 was real. But the breather didn't last very long. Just a month and a half later, Mitch lost his world record. And the runner to take it was Maiba, the same guy who missed the first 109 months earlier thanks to a bit of a meltdown in World 8. But this time, there was no meltdown. He got a 109.58, beating Mitch by frames. Maiba ended up missing some of the toughest P-speed strategies that Mitch got. 4-5 and 5-1 in particular are two of the toughest spots in the run to get P-speed. Ultimately, Maiba wasn't able to get either of them. Instead, he aimed to clean up mistakes that Mitch had made, particularly in World 6. That's pretty much exactly what happened. Maiba bled a bit of time through World 5, but had a nearly mistake-free World 6, despite not getting early P-speed in 6-4. Even though he lost time in both 7-1 and 7-2, he left himself just enough room to snag the record.
I don't know, but 109, yes! Yatta!
So, here we are. It's mid-2021. The 109 had been accomplished. Mitch was the first to get it, but Maiba had finally gotten the record he'd been looking for so long. Everyone was happy. What more was there to do? Well, people have a natural tendency to keep pushing the limits. If their goals have been accomplished, they set new ones. Maybe just to add one more chapter to a storied history. Or maybe to see what the human limits are. It was for all these reasons and more that in July 2021, Mitch returned to do one final grind of Mario 3 100%.
My goal time in mind after Maiba beat my run was just to get it back. In Mario 3, every time you break a boundary, massive amounts of pressure is lifted off of your chest.
What? Oh, what an insane World 2.
I got off-screen wand grab, and it's a trick where you can jump off the wall and grab the wand at the top of the screen, and once you do that, you don't have to screen wrap down, and it saves about 4 seconds. You kind of tighten up a little bit after off-screen wand grab. It gets serious when you get it. World 3, one of the biggest ones is the runaway bro, and what that means is one of the Hammer brothers that you want to fight as early as possible, right, because you want them to stop moving, he moves right across level 6. And if he does that, every level you beat until you get to level 6 or past level 6, he's going to keep moving. So after getting off-screen wand grab, and then that happened to me, it's a real gut punch right there, because I mean, that's a solid, like, anywhere between 5 to even 9 seconds, depending on how far he goes. World 4 just started to work really clean. I don't think I got a massive amount of Hammer Brother movements. And then I got another off-screen wand grab, so that just completely changed the route again. I mean, it was just a bag of emotions. So we come into World 6, and I'm playing great, but then I'm just not keeping the tight P-speed strategies that I
Love
should
Mitch's
be.
background.
6-3 didn't work, 6-4 also didn't work, and I was getting some pretty big Hammer Brother movements. But then I missed one of the newer installments of strategies in 7.5 by using a P-Wing and a star. So right there with 7.1 and 7.5 was like 10 seconds lost already. I was too far behind on my run, so I had to kind of switch up what I was doing, and that involved doing the clips in 7.9, which there's 4 of them. Odds of you getting them, all first try are very small, but they just save enough time that if you go for them and get them all, you might be able to save the run. Now, the issue with that is that if you get all 4 of them, there's nowhere to get your fire flowers. So I had to change up my routing on the fly and go for the hammer suit strategy, which is pretty close to the same for the end part of World 7. So in 7.9, going for the clips, I got 2-1-2-1. And what that means is that with the 4 clips, 2 for the first one, took me 2 tries, 1 was first try, the 3rd clip was 2nd try, and the 4th clip was 1 try. Yeah, so we're approaching World 8, and we just had to do this
hammer
on the
suit's
fly.
just
Hammer
sexy.
suit.
Yeah.
Don't overextend
on the
it.
fly.
Just try and get
it's
the
the
strats
best.
that you know.
It's the best strat. Why who
8-1
cares?
And
It's the best
8-2
fucking
and 8-4
strat.
went pretty smooth. I didn't have any massive mistakes that cost me a whole lot of time.
Hammer suit's big dick
and then
strat.
we just clutched out Bowser's Castle.
Yes! What? No way! No way!
It felt great to get the world record back from Maiba, and to know that I was able to come and bring it back and get a time that, better represents my ability. It felt really good. After getting the record back with a run like that, I mean, I had Runaway Bro in World 3. I mean, that's such a massive time loss. And I was feeling very consistent, so I just didn't want to stop there. I wanted to keep going and see if I can get that free World 3 time save and maybe a couple more off-screen wall grabs, see what happens. In World 2, I didn't get the off-screen wand grab, so I automatically lose 4 seconds. We all know that I got the Runaway Bro, and that is a big time save if I don't get it, and luckily enough, I didn't get that. We came and clutched out a World 1, 2, and 3 at pretty much being on pace with the world record. Nothing crazy. World 4 is a great example of soul crushing, and then I got a movement of 4 and a movement of 6, and it really pushes you down because World 4 has got a lot of hard strategies. Keep the run going. I have time to save in World 6. Let's just keep going. So World 6 actually came out pretty smooth. I didn't have any big mistakes. I started World 7 being behind by about 2.5 seconds or something. I need to clutch out 7-1 first try, which I did, which was really good. 7-2 went well. 7.5 though is another level with big time save. I didn't get the clip in the previous world record, and I do nail it, which is really good. So at that moment right there, I know, okay, this run is real now. We nailed 7-7. We got that 3rd try, which is the same, so we didn't lose any time. And then we just finished off World 7 normally with Fire Flower, which brought me in somewhere around -7 seconds.
Boo on Fire Flower.
So it was serious at that point.
Oh.
With this run, I was finally able to execute some new P-speed strategies in World 8 in the hand levels, where you use a star and 8 trap 1, and you turn back and you get like P-speed. I was able to do that in this run, and then I got a P-speed strategy in hand trap 2, which is another about a second time save.
What?
Being able to finally clutch out a semi-decent World 7, clips worked, 7-7, 3rd try, that's everything you would ask for in a World 7. So I felt really good about this run, so I was really happy with it.
I love the drama of the music.
Did your goals shift at all after getting the 52, or were you like, let me just keep going and see what time I can get?
So my answer is I have no idea why I kept going. So So it was a normal day. I was just doing my normal runs, and World 1 went really well. And World 2, I got some pretty decent RNG, and the run was looking good. And then all of a sudden, I got
I feel like that's the most speedrun answer ever.
That is the
I don't
best
know
way,
why I keep
to start your
going.
100% runs off-screen wall grab. And I started to get all movements of 1 in World 3, and I was like, is this actually going to be like the God World 3 run? Did the normal strats, banked on some Hammer Brother RNG, and World 3 cleaned up really nicely. World 4 normally ends a lot of 100% runs, a lot of weird movements, but luckily for me, I ended up being 0.08 off my gold, so absolutely everything that happened in World 4 was what I wanted to happen. We had an amazing World 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is incredibly rare in 100%. I opened up World 5 with a movement of 4.
Yep. Right away, first movement, a movement of 4.
And then another movement of 4.
2 movements of 4 in a row. Let's go, baby.
And then another movement of 4.
We got another one. 3 movements of 4 in a row. What a surprise.
And I got another movement of 4.
4 movements in a row, baby. Let's go.
So the rest of World 5 went really well. For the most part in World 5, I did manage to successfully do all the P-Speed strategies.
Did you watch these back before you
World 6,
did
the
this,
Hammer
or do you
Brothers
just
were really
remember
nice to
these?
me, and I didn't make any other slip-ups, so I actually came out of World 6 ahead. Normally, I'm pretty nervous when I'm
Wait, or
ahead of the world
does-
record going to World 7.
Or does
I am standard
Summoning
nervous, so
Salt
this
give you
wasn't
this
anything crazy
information?
special at the moment. So the first half of World 7 went really, really well. 7-1 first try, and I got fast 7-2. 7-5 though.
I know,
went
Jesus clip is still
beautifully.
out
I
there.
managed to get the star, the P-wing, get that clip perfectly, and I was able to get a good tail swipe, clean under, keep all my speed. Because at first I was saying, you know, when I enter World 7, it's not like anything special, but World 7 is starting to make everything that happened before that amazing. So I'm very nervous at this point. After getting 7-1 and 7-5, I am really, really nervous. I was so like blown away that I actually nailed it first try on a run like that. I just did not believe that I got it first try. I couldn't believe it. You rarely ever maximize your gameplay.
He was he was running back
perfectly.
He was running back.
As soon as I nailed 7-7, I was extremely nervous, and I had to go into 7-9, and we ended up clutching 7-9 with an actual time save. We were able to clutch out the Fortress and clutch out the Piranha Plant stage. It was by far the best World 7 I've ever had, alongside the best run I've ever had, as you can tell. But it was insane. It was insane. So after a World 7 like that and a run like that, going into World 8, I was extremely nervous.
This game sucks,
There's so
dude.
many little things that can screw you up. I'm
This
on
game's
this
so
run
annoying.
that is just absolutely insane. After all those thoughts running through my head, we approach hand stage 1, and I actually nailed it with the start.
Chat.
8-1 worked out okay.
So
8-2,
at GDQ one time, in a race against
Surprise
Mitch,
worked out okay. One of the things to note with Bowser's Castle is that
I got
the
pulled in for a
hardest things
second
on a single
hand,
level is
and then I started
the
thinking
statue
about the
room
next
at the end,
level,
getting P-speed there. The
and I
one-up
just
flip,
completely made the wrong jump.
and then the last one is the duck jump at the very end on the donuts. Once you get past
Died,
the donut spot,
lost
you
a
can say to
race.
yourself, oh my god, I actually did it. However, Bowser does have one pattern where he can jump and shoot the fireball at the same time, and when he does that, the fireball will be shot where you're standing. You can't avoid it. There's nothing you can do.
Look at the drama. Okay, Summoning Salt fed you that line. Yeah, Summoning Salt fed him that line. Summoning Salt fed him that line. I love Mitch so much, but I know for a fact he wouldn't have brought that up.
What? No way!
That's why he makes amazing videos.
Oh my god, I can't even...
It ended up being my most impressive run that perfectly represented my abilities as a gamer, which never happens in speedrunning. Everyone in speedrunning is always trying to chase their potential, and you never hit it. It is a run where I don't ever have to go back for it again, but I'm going to. But I don't have to, which is really cool.
Nearly 2 years have passed since this run.
I'm going
It's
to.
remained on top
don't have
without
to.
any close calls. To this day, there are runners actively trying to beat it, including Mitch himself. As incredible as it is, one day this record too will fall, just like all the ones that came before it. This has been the history of Mario 300% world records. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to be notified when I upload a new video, please hit that subscribe button.
Yo, Summoning Salt's fucking dope. Mitch is fucking dope. Yeah. Summoning Salt's dope. Mitch is dope. Like, that was sick. Right? That was sick. Let's do Splunky.